And okay, thank you. Yeah, so without wasting any more time, let's dive into it. Yeah, so to start with, Rootical is a startup studio that enables purpose-driven entrepreneurs in Uganda to build and own their regenerative agri-food companies. Yeah, it's evident that the current food system that is linear and wasteful is just extractive, and we really need a paradigm shift to a living system that considers, of course, the human part of it and also the planet. Yeah, so at Rootical, we are looking at building commercially viable and purpose-driven enterprises together to accelerate the transition to a fair and inclusive regenerative food system. Our leading partners, that is Shona, which is the implementing partner in Uganda, and also our Fresh Ventures Studio in the Netherlands, that is also running their second cohort of co-founders, and also our financial partners, Dowen, the French Embassy in Uganda, and BioVision. And also looking at the team that is leading on at the Rootical team, my colleagues, Farida, who is the talent manager, Isaac, our venture builder, and Hannes, who is our founder and team leader. Yeah, so you might be wondering why Rootical is interested in growing a new breed of entrepreneurs. I'll quickly share with you some of these interesting researches that have been done. 65% of agricultural land in Africa is degraded. That is a fact. 1% now owns more than the rest of us combined. Just 1% of the population in the world owns more than 50% of the wealth and resources in the world. Next slide, please. Yeah, today, 3 billion people, including 3/4 of all Africans, cannot afford a healthy diet. These are facts. And also an interesting one, according to the UN country results report, 23% of Uganda's population is severely food insecure. Therefore, against that backdrop, Rootical wants to address land degradation, income and wealth inequality, and access to affordable health diets. So Rootical looks at changing the narrative by enhancing farmers' transition to regenerative agriculture through the input side, providing solutions like biopesticides, which reduce on the use of chemicals, transition finance, and insurance, among other initiatives that I will really be found out by you when you join the program, when you join the startup studio. Then we also look at the output side of it through market access by providing regenerative consumer brands, marketplaces, and supply and chain conversion, etc. Yeah, so I'll now invite my colleague, Isaac, to also share with you. Isaac, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Elvis. Within Rootical, we look at 3 key pillars, and that is regenerative agriculture, where we look at models of regenerative agriculture and agroecology, which is literally farming with nature. We look at optimally producing food in a living, resilient system full of biodiversity. That is a very fundamental pillar. And our second pillar is purpose-driven entrepreneurship. In this, we look at building commercially viable businesses and impactful businesses that cater for all people. And in this, we are looking at how many smallholder farmers are we impacting? And how many of the average Ugandan consumers are the businesses that we are building impacting? And then the third pillar is toward ownership. Can we have the purpose locked in and have no mission drift? When you start your business, can it remain on that course even after so many years? And can this continue even after you are gone out of this world? So you develop a legacy. And it is amazing how this model will be able to support us to set up sustainable, what we call regenerative businesses. And also, we are targeting 3 personas in this, in Rootical, and we are looking at people that are out there, and you have graduated and you're passionate about agriculture and food, or you have started a business before in agriculture and food, and you want to go at it again. Or the people who have the experience, the corporate experience, 10 years plus, you have been working and you're thinking, how can I get into business? How can I start my own agriculture and food business? So Rootical is home for you. And all these personas have got a lot of similarities. You are purpose-driven, and you are looking at the passion that you have within you and saying, I can go extra miles and ensure that this business is sustainable and creating impact. You are eager to be trained, and also you are willing to reconsider a lot of things and learn so that you can build something together with other people, or you can build while learning a lot. When we talk about regenerative businesses, you are relearning and also sharing. So that's who we are, and we will welcome you gladly at Rootical. Let me invite our talent manager, Farida, to share more.
Thank you. I want to share just what would the journey look like when you join our venture building program. So essentially our program will take a year and a half, and we're kicking off this in August. So to start off, we will have 40 individuals for a 10 days intensive course on food systems leadership, where we will train you on the theory and other content on food systems thinking and practice. We'll train you on regenerative agriculture and agroecology, and then we'll also have human-centered design. So then these participants will also take participatory food analysis to identify the key challenges within the food system that they will then work on in the next phase. For the next phase, 24 people out of the 40 will be selected to attend our 3 months bootcamp. In this 3 months bootcamp, they'll be able to build solutions to the challenges they identified in the first phase. They'll also be working on building their business model, and in midway, they'll forge teams that they will work with in the studio phase. So studio phase is our 3rd phase, but also the final phase for the founders. Within the studio, we'll select 6 teams. We'll incorporate the companies that these teams will come up with. And so we'll continue supporting them to launch their businesses, to get the first sales and paying customers. We'll provide up to 40 million shillings as startup capital for them to run their operations, to launch their operations. So we'll also continue supporting these teams. The portfolio of the companies that will be from the studio will provide access to our investors, but also just continuous support in terms of mentorship throughout after they leave the studio. So why should you apply anyway? One, our venture building process will give you an opportunity to join other food system leaders, and we will also help you to be able to meet your dream team and work on solutions with everyday feedback to be able to also access our extensive network of experts and advisors. You also have access to our startup investment, and that's something that we think our founders will be excited about. So how do you apply? Before you dive into the application process, go ahead and make sure that you've gone to our website and read about our program. We are providing a self-scan tool. So this is the short form that some of you might have seen. And the short form, we're just really trying to see if this would be, to make sure that you are a fit for the venture building process, but also if you're up for the challenge. And we are accepting applications on a rolling basis, but make sure that the applications will close by June 18, 11:59 p.m. So make sure you send in your application as soon as possible. We'll invite people to submit a full application after the first round. We'll invite them to do a more assessment to get to know you better, because we'll be working with individuals. Then next, we'll do some phone interviews to make selection for our 40 founders. So our program will start officially on August 2nd. And that's how the process will look like for people. So please send in your applications as soon as possible, because we have a rolling basis process.
All right, welcome everyone. Really excited to have you here, and thanks team for those great introductions and overview of Rootical. We will give the floor space to ask questions in a minute, but to kick us up, we wanted to already dive into these questions you see here on the screen. The first question: can I join with an existing business or idea or team? In short, the answer is no. Rootical is not an incubator or accelerator. We are a startup studio, and we want to build businesses from scratch together with the founders we select, and based on our participatory food system analysis, as Farida explained. So while you might be able to join with ideas, we'll also ask you for the flexibility to readjust your ideas in light of what we will learn and explore and identify as key opportunities together. Second question: can I join if I have a full-time job? In short, we think that building a successful, impactful, and scalable business requires at least 100% of your time. So we would really encourage all founders that apply to consider focusing on Rootical as their first and only full-time occupation. And that might probably require you for you to quit your job at some point in our process. However, that doesn't mean you can't apply now and still evaluate after the first stage whether you want to join Rootical as a founder and be part of our 3-month systemic venture building process. No? Basically, the first stage is a 10 days intensive food system leadership course, for which we will require your full participation, but you might be able to take on that part just by taking leaves of your job, leave days of your job for some days. So it's going to be August 2 to 11. You could already make sure that that's time you will be available and able to take leave if you want to join, and of course are selected to join our program or different steps. Good. Third question: the startup capital you are talking about, is it a grant or a loan? And this is an important question. The money we are making available towards the end of our process to be invested in the companies that we will be co-founding together within the studio stage, the last stage of our process, is not a grant nor a basic loan. That money will be counted as an investment and thus shall be implying the payback of certain returns to Rootical as a studio. No? So it's most likely not going to be equity. It's also not going to be a grant or a simple loan, but we are looking at defining this investment, both the cash investment we will make, 20 to 40 million Ugandan shillings, and the in-kind contribution our program, our team, our entire studio will deliver in terms of value to the founders. We're going to value both and then expect a certain return payment on that investment, right? So this doesn't mean that as a founder of the business, you will be giving away majority of your decision rights, but it does mean that this money will be treated like a revenue-based loan repayment or potentially convertible debt. But this is also to be defined and part of the conversation we will have with our founders. Fourth question, do you provide specific facilities for lactating women or people with special needs? Yes, absolutely. With Rootical, we intend to break down the gender gap and any barriers to participation for our future founders. So if you are pregnant or a lactating woman, if you are a person that requires special support, please reach out to us. We have specific budgets to help you and make sure you can participate fully to different stages of our startup studio model, and reach out to us, get in contact, and we will find ways to make sure you can. Final question, is there an application fee? No, there is no application fee. Please, if you are requested for any upfront payments during or after the application stage, report it to us. This is probably fraudulent people trying to get money out of you. We will not require any payments from you before or while joining the program. All right, that's it. 5 questions already tackled. I hope this was clear. If it wasn't, please ask again, add questions, share anything you want to know from us in the chat, and we'll try to cover for that in the coming 40-35 minutes. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hannes, for already hinting on some of the questions that may be asked. We have some questions in the chat, and the first question is, when do you get the full application link?
Yeah, I can take that. So not everyone who goes through the first round will come to do the full application. So the first round application is really a simple form. So if you go to our website, after reading through the website, you can click on apply now, and then it will take you to a Google form. So that Google form, they're really questions to just help us understand where you're coming from, and just to see that you will fit to our venture building program. So then the full, then people who come, people will be selected from that first round and invited to a series of assessments where we'll get to know you better about your skills, your expertise, your motivation. So those people will be sent an email to apply through that tool. I think that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks very much, Farida, for that extensive explanation. There is a second question in the chat. Explain more on Rootical's business co-ownership model.
Yes, I will take partly that. we are looking at supporting businesses to be co-founded. So you as a co-founder, you are going to have the majority ownership in the business. And to look at the breakdown, in Uganda, we have got ordinary shares, we have got preference shares, and we have got in the what we call the steward ownership, we have also the golden shares. So in this breakdown, you will be looking at the decision making part of the business also, and then if you have investors coming on board, they can take on what in Uganda we term preference shares, and these preference shares, they don't normally participate in the decision, but they take part of the dividends. And so in the long run, we also have, say, a third party, which as Rootical, we are looking at to see how we can be able to support in ensuring that the business that you have started is purpose locked in and there is no mission drift. We will just be providing the support. And most of the decision making will be done by the business co-founders. Who are you, who you are out there. Yeah, so you'll be the guys that will be running the wheel.
Yeah, thanks, Isaac. Just to add to that, I'm posting a link on steward ownership in the chat. It's Purpose Economy, is the global organization spearheading steward ownership. We don't have much time to go into the details, but you can find out all about it there. There are huge companies, multinational companies, and companies that have been practicing steward ownership for decades and even 100+ years already. So yeah, have a look into that. And again, this is part of the conversation we will have with the founders when we're moving to the co-founding stage in the studio.
Okay, thanks very much, Isaac and Hannes. I see Susan had a question on, can we use Shona's website? Susan, I'm not sure what you meant here by using Shona's website. Are you able to unmute and probably elaborate on what you wanted to ask? Otherwise, you can also probably add in the chat.
If it's for applications, all applications are to be submitted via the form that Elvis has posted in the chat, or you can go directly to rootical.org, our website, where you will find the form behind any of the apply now buttons you will find there. So please go to our website and hit apply now to submit your application.
Okay, thanks very much, Hannes. There is another question. Are there any specific areas of study or focus, e.g. vegetables, fruits, animals, etc.?
That's a great question. We've decided not to select any subsectors or specific value chains for now, because we really want to leave this group of enterprises we will be building together really open and being a result of the analysis of the food system that we will be conducting together, right? But the suggested examples are interesting because they look like key areas of addressing the issues of malnutrition, inequality, hunger, and environmental degradation that Elvis has mentioned in the introduction, right? So they're definitely part of the scope of what we will be looking at, but we're not excluding certain subsectors per definition for now.
Thanks very much, Hannes. I see Jagamak's hand is up. I'll come to you. Let me first exhaust these in the chat. Does the startup have to be fully registered in Uganda?
Yes, we won't work with any existing businesses. Just to be clear, I saw another question on that as well. Rootical is a startup studio. We are going to build businesses from scratch, moving from our food system analysis to ideation, prototyping, and further business development. Rootical is not an incubator nor an accelerator, so you can't join with existing teams, businesses, or advanced ideas, right? This is really about conducting the analysis together, identifying the key challenges and opportunities, and find those parts in the food system where we can have maximum impact with relatively limited resources, right? So this is really about, yeah, a systemic and systematic venture building process, not taking on existing businesses or teams.
So you come with your business idea and we support you refining it. And we see along the way, where is it fitting in creating impact along the whole ecosystem of food systems.
Okay, thanks very much, Isaac and Hannes. The next question is, how long will the training take under Rootical before the first start of funding? All right, you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So again, we have first the 10 days with the 40 founders. After the 10 days, we'll select people to go into our second stage. And our second stage is the solution validation. So those people will spend about, we'll have the first 24 people work for about 6 weeks to come up with those solutions. And then the midway will select people again, those who can form teams and continue working on their business models. So for the second stage, that's about 3 months, right? So we have a 3 months planned bootcamp for you. And then those who are selected to our third stage, but also our final stage, then they're not going into that stage as individuals, because then you will have formed teams already. So we are looking at 6 teams. And so between 2 to 3 people per team, you will spend that time in the studio. So about 6 months to, I think we have about 6 months, right? For the studio?
12
12
to 18
months. 12 to 18 months for the studio. And so that comes to about 1.5 years. Okay, so if someone was to go from the 10 days to the end of the studio, that would be about 18 months.
So just to add to that, while we are building solutions, developing our ideas, prototyping and so on, we have also budgeted for specific envelopes to do so, right? So to go out in the field, to build and test something and so on. We also have smaller envelopes of money that can be assigned to the different ideas and teams that are developing at that moment during the first 3 months of the venture building process. And then the 20 to 40 million Ugandan shillings of startup investment will be accessed by January or early next year, and based on making the final selection of the 6 most promising business models to join the Rootical Startup Studio.
Wow. And people may be looking at, okay, during this period, if we are looking at the venture building, how am I going to be surviving when I'm putting in my full time here? We are going to have a stipend each month of that period, and you receive that stipend to support you as we build together. Yes.
Okay, thanks very much, Isaac and the team. There is another question here. Is there a medical field study covered in such things like cannabis and THC benefits in the medical field?
I think this question is a bit out of scope of Rootical as a startup studio. We want to focus on building agribusinesses, agriculture and food businesses that can really help to address the key challenges of our food system, being hunger, malnutrition, food insecurity, growing inequality, and land and environmental degradation, right? So this, more medical applications of certain crops is not probably not going to be reflected as central to the focus of our studio. But I'm sure there's plenty of research out there.
Okay, thanks very much, Hannes. Georgie Mugenyi asked, how about if the business is already existing and registered, can Rootical support? I think this was answered. We're looking at building businesses from scratch, from the idea, from actually the problem identification stage. Then I see Albert asked if there is a recording for the meeting. Yeah, the recording will be available, so you'll be able to access it. And then Daniel, I think this is a comment. I love the building from scratch bit of it because only the process of building a business is another course. That's just a comment. Then Jonathan asked, is the training residential or camp or full-time?
Yes, I think to highlight, we start off with a 10 days intensive food system leadership course, which will be full-time residential in a location outside of Kampala, yet to be disclosed. Then we will move on to 3 months of systemic venture building, for which we will provide lodging solutions for those of you that come from far away. And we provide a stipend, as Isaac mentioned, to allow you to fully concentrate and work full-time on building your business with us. So yes, this is a full-time residential venture building approach.
Thanks very much, Hannes. Javier was wondering if the leadership system course will be in person or virtual. That is answered. Yeah, and I think those are the questions that we have in the chat. Mark, you had your hand up. I don't know if you still have your question. You can unmute and ask.
Yeah, my question is about your selection criteria, because people are approaching their business ideas after the first selections, and I'm wondering, what are you really considering, to select the first 40? Because all we do is self-assess ourselves if we shall be able to incur all the time and everything. But then on your side, what are you considering?
Okay, thanks very much, Mark. Farida?
Yeah, sure. So again, because we are inviting individuals, we are very interested in understanding and really knowing the individual. So some of the things, the full application will help us to uncover your business acumen, your financial understanding, your mindset. So that's what the assessments are about. So you will see these quizzes to help us really know what are your talents, what do you aspire to, so that way when you're invited among the 40 participants, we're working with you directly. So in terms of assessing, I think, again, it goes back to your entrepreneurial mindset. I think there's a slide we showed in terms of who these personas we are looking at, the characteristics they will have in common. So if you check the box on those, you're most likely going to be selected to submit the full application.
Okay, thanks very much, Farida. I hope that is answered, Mark. I see Javier, your hand is up. Please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, thank you so much. My question would be, is the trading targeting specific people, nationalities like Ugandans only, or it is inclusive for people who are living in countries like refugees also allowed to apply? Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're starting in Uganda, and because our program is going to be residential, you will need to be in the country. So for all the in-person engagement will happen. So if you're Ugandan, and even if you're not Ugandan, but you are based here and you're living here and you're available to attend the whole activity, we'll be able to work with you. So again, you need to be in person.
Okay, thanks very much, Farida. Do we have any other questions? If you have a question, you can raise your hand or feel free to unmute and ask.
Maybe in the meanwhile, just to add to the last points. So what we'll be looking at is basically your mindset, your growth mindset as an entrepreneur, your past experience, of course. Past experience is the best prediction of future action, let's say, and being successful at that, or having learned a lot and failing forward and building forward with us. Of course, there's your time and availability. As Sarita said, you need to be residing in the country, willing and engaged to building solutions for the Ugandan food systems, solutions that matter. Of course, there is the time commitments that is needed to build a successful, scalable, and impactful business. So I think those are like the big lines that we will be looking at, and the short form application we have developed will ask you 6 or 7 questions that really help to identify whether what we are offering is a good fit for your personality or your situation at this point in time. So please go to our website, hit apply now, and look at that form and submit as soon as we can.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hannes. I see Albert, your hand is up. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, sorry for the intrusion earlier on. First, I want to say thank you to the Rootical team for this opportunity, for the different people and startups that may actually really benefit from this. My question is a twofold question. One is there any particular background that someone needs to have before coming onto the stage to be eligible for this program, be it educational background or be it from a practical point of what their background in what they've been doing, let's say experience. The second question is actually from a point of, is there the studies that are actually being planned on doing, do they start from the scratch basics of agricultural inputs, and how does it just require someone to have the will and zeal to actually be involved in this program? Or so generally what I'm trying to figure out is whether we're going to cover things like maybe genetics and do a bit of in-depth cloning and things like that. Thank you.
I can take the first question. You asked about the background. So we are keen to have a diverse group. So we are looking at all backgrounds in terms of academic disciplines. So the thing we are emphasizing is your passion and, again, your past experiences within agroecology or regenerative agriculture, right? So again, if someone is from engineering, we know that to build a successful business, you need all these people from different domains. So if you're coming, say, from architecture, we know that there are skill sets that will be valuable to building the business with us, all right? So don't hesitate to encourage people who are not coming from straight line, say that they studied agriculture in school. So we do encourage you all to apply. Do you want to take a screen question, Hannes?
And perhaps looking at the business that Rootical will be co-founding, will be a business that looks at providing healthy foods for the population. So if you're a co-founder, think in those lines. If the innovation that I'm looking at, how does it relate with working with nature more? So that you are producing food that is safe for the population, or you are providing services that improve the access to healthy foods for the average consumers in Uganda. So you look at the whole ecosystem and focus on that part and love that problem which you see in the community, and figure out how can I be a part of the solution by focusing on that problem. And that's where for us we'll be coming in to support, to see how you can love that problem more, and then how the ideas of solutions can be generated, and what would be the best approach in terms of what is the best solution that can fit. So that we find we support you and focus on the healthy foods. And that takes us also to the part of agroecology and regenerative agriculture. You don't necessarily need to have that background, but you are curious to learn, and you have that passion to see that the farming that is done, all the activities that are done are supportive of nature, and you build with nature and not against it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Isaac and Farida. Maybe to just add on a little bit, I mean, when we talk about starting from scratch, we are not really looking at sitting people in a classroom and teaching them genetics and really maybe details about agriculture and probably what you really want to do. We are looking at problem identification. I mean, looking at the food system. What are those problems that are experienced in your community that you think you could probably find a solution and build a business around that solution? That is what we talk about when we are looking at building from scratch. So we are looking at business perspective, not really teaching people agriculture and really going into the details. I mean, that is really covered in school, and Rootical is a startup studio. It is not really a school. Yeah, hope that answers the question.
Those leverage points where if a business is started at that point, it can cause tremendous impact in the whole ecosystem. So thinking along those lines. Yeah.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, I see a question in the chat. We have a major problem with climate change. Does climate action qualify as one of the solutions that can be supported by Rootical?
When you talk about climate action, if the business that is started is looking at in the long term, because when you talk about regenerative businesses and agroecology, we are looking at mitigating climate change. The business will definitely do that. And it is not about, say, action. Someone, when they mention action, sometimes thinking, okay, I'm starting an NGO, or I'm starting a CBO, or a movement of that kind. We are looking at for-profit businesses, but having that at the back of the mind that we need to ensure that we are protecting the environment with the businesses that are being set up. Yeah.
Right. Thanks very much, Isaac. I think those are the questions that that these people had. I don't know if any other person has any other question, but if not, I mean, we can really call it a day.
And maybe one thing about the application, don't think so much of your years of experience and think, okay, maybe this may not be. Think of your passion. If you have that desire to cause a change in our food system in Uganda, this is your home. And we are starting this first year at Rootical. So throughout, it is going to be a learning process. And just make sure that when you come, you're thinking of having that open mind, care and learn more. And when you have that, you're going to really build a resilient business. And we welcome you. And if you have been with us and you are not looking at applying, please refer the people that you see fit in what we have been discussing about. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Isaac. I see someone, more questions are really coming in. Can we invite someone who wasn't on this call to apply? Of course, yes. I mean, share as wide as you can. Share with your networks. Actually, are really interested in this opportunity. I mean, sharing is caring, so share widely. We are also happy to share with you some of the material that we use for our social media outreach that you can also download from our LinkedIn and also Twitter and share with your friends. Then I see a question on steward partnership. This is a forever partnership, or at a point Rootical takes over the foundation. The founders take it on. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So just to recapitulate, steward ownership is a way to protect the purpose of a company and lock it into its legal DNA. We have already studied what that would mean in Uganda and how it can be set up. And we really want to invite you to look at it and to assess together with us whether it's a suitable form of organizing and creating impactful enterprises, right? That's the first point. That doesn't mean that the steward owns. We will provide an investment as a Rootical Startup Studio ourselves. That investment will be paid back over time by the businesses we will be co-funding. We don't intend to take majority ownership of those businesses. And once the financial return has been paid back to Rootical as a startup studio, and this is of course part of our own business model, once that is done, the company will basically be in the hands of the founders or any other investors they've decided to engage with. No? Steward ownership is also a way to separate financial shares and decision-making rights. So it's a really creative way to separate the two of those, and to help founders and other stewards that are closely involved with the day-to-day pursuit of the company's business to keep control of that business and its mission. So answering to your question, it's not a forever partnership, and it's definitely not Rootical going to take over from the founders at any point. At one point in time, the founders will be owning their company fully, or Rootical will phase out their stake in the company after the financial returns are provided.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hannes. Someone asked, is language an aspect that has been considered, or is having a valid command of English a prerequisite?
Sure, I'll take that. So we do expect that the participants in the studio within other steps of the venture building approach will be able to read and understand English, okay? Because it's also just easier that way to communicate with everyone. However, again, we do know that because we want to get everybody else from other regions, we are able to accommodate people with different learning abilities, but also to figure out what needs individuals will have. So if, say, we do need a translator at any point in the steps, that's something we're able to provide for the participants.
Okay, thanks very much, Farida. Then I see Aaron runs technical skills classes at his Institute of Smart Innovations and Technology Entrepreneurship. He's asking whether we are open for skills development program subscriptions. If so, please drop an email at, he shared his email. yeah, I think we shall reach out in case we really need that. And then, yeah, kindly share your emails in the chat, and we shall reach out to you and share with you more about the program, and also some of the social media assets that we have for you to share with your networks. Otherwise, if there is no other questions, thanks very much, everyone, for joining us for this Q&A session. We are so glad that you've picked interest in this startup studio. I mean, let's get into this adventure journey together, and let's embrace it, and let's change the food system together. We are all change makers. So thank you, everyone, and we are waiting for your applications, and we are rooting for you. Go straight to the website and fill that short form. It's very, very fast. It doesn't really take so long. And then you wait for further instructions to be sent to you on how you'll be able to submit your detailed application. So thanks, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.